The United States now has the military pieces in place for a wide range of strike options against Iran, from pinpoint attacks on nuclear and missile targets to a sustained weeks-long air and naval campaign. The current build-up, USS Abraham Lincoln already operating in the Arabian Sea with a full air wing of F-35s, Super Hornets, Growlers and Hawkeyes, plus the USS Gerald R. Ford accelerating across the Atlantic, gives President Trump the ability to launch significant operations within days if he chooses. Over the past week, the Pentagon has moved more than 50 additional fifth-generation fighters, F-22s, F-35As, F-15Es, extra tanker aircraft and hundreds of munitions sorties into forward bases. This is the largest concentration of American air and naval power in the region since the 2003 Iraq invasion. You may ask, what are the realistic strike options on the table right now? Option 1 may be a limited, targeted strikes. This is the most discussed surgical scenario. The focus would be on known nuclear-related sites, Fordow and Natanz and any rebuilt facilities at Isfahan, ballistic missile production and storage depots, and selected IRGC command centers. The goal, set back Iran's nuclear breakout capability by 12 to 24 months without trying to topple the regime. These strikes would likely use stealth fighters, cruise missiles from destroyers and submarines, and possibly B-2 bombers flying from distant bases. Duration, 24 to 72 hours. Civilian casualties kept as low as possible through precision munitions. The second option could be broader, multi-wave campaign. This goes well beyond nuclear sites. It would include systematic degradation of Iran's air defense network, major missile launchers, especially those threatening the Strait of Hormuz and Gulf shipping, IRGC naval bases, and key oil infrastructure if retaliation escalates. Planners are preparing for operations that could last 7 to 21 days, with continuous strikes to suppress Iranian responses. The dual carrier presence and surge in tankers and munitions make this feasible for the first time since last year's limited June 2025 strikes. Then the third option could be sustained pressure or regime change track, the most ambitious and riskiest path. This would combine the above with strikes on senior IRGC and political leadership targets, state security facilities, and broader military infrastructure in an attempt to weaken the regime's control. Officials have privately discussed scenarios lasting several weeks, expecting Iranian retaliation and preparing for follow-on cycles of strikes. This is not a full-ground invasion. No large-scale troop build-up is happening, but it would be the most intense U.S. air naval operation against a peer adversary since 1991. The indirect talks in Geneva are still alive, but moving slowly. Both sides report progress on guiding principles, yet core gaps remain. Iran refuses to give up all enrichment. The US insists on verifiable limits, plus curbs on missiles and proxies. The military buildup is classic coercive diplomacy. Show Iran the alternative to a deal is extremely painful. Trump has repeatedly said all options remain on the table, and the Pentagon has been told to prepare everything from limited hits to extended operations. The choice to be made depends on some factors. First, it will depend on the outcome of the next Geneva round. If Iran walks away or offers only cosmetic concessions, pressure for broader strikes grows. It will also depend on the intelligence picture, how close Iran actually is to a nuclear breakout, and how much rebuilding has happened since the June 2025 strikes. The US will also measure the expected Iranian retaliation. The more the US hits, the more Tehran is expected to fire missiles at US bases, Israel and Gulf oil facilities, and possibly attempt to close or harass shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. All these choices will have consequences once they happen. In the case of the limited strikes, Iran would almost certainly retaliate with missile barrages and proxy attacks, but the conflict could stay contained. contained. Oil prices would jump 10 to 20% initially. The nuclear program would be delayed, but not eliminated. On the other hand, broader or sustained campaign will have much higher risk. Iran could close the Strait of Hormuz for days or weeks, sending oil above $100 to $140 a barrel and triggering a global energy shock. Iranian missiles would hit US and allied targets across the region. Russia and China, already conducting naval drills with Iran, would increase diplomatic and possibly material support. Domestic unrest inside Iran could explode, or the regime could rally around the flag. The US military is explicitly preparing for weeks-long operations, not just a one-off raid like June 2025. That earlier strike used B-2 bombers for a single night of precision hits on 3 nuclear sites. This time the force package is far larger and designed for follow-on strikes if Iran fights back. At the same time, no ground invasion force is being assembled. This remains an air and naval operation. The dual track is striking. Serious talks continue in Geneva, while the hardware for major strikes moves into final position. That combination is rare and tells you how narrow the window has become. Trump still says he prefers a deal, but the military options are now fully ready and more expansive than at any point in the last 5 years.